Hi everyone, my name is Joseph and welcome to part 3-5, chapter 3, part 5 of Digimon Seekers. So we're still in the, I don't want to call them flashbacks since it didn't happen in the middle of the story, but we're still going through the history of the creation of, the laboratories and the relationships between Professor Rizuyunji, excuse me, I probably not pronounced that correctly, the professor and his colleagues as well. So let's go ahead and get into it. I do have a couple of quotes. I was a bit concerned I wouldn't have too many quotes because well, frankly, it's just information, but thankfully there's some, I think, parts that we could dig into. Perhaps it wasn't the world so much as her world, Saya's world, that was changing. I guess I should say congratulations. That would be appropriate, yes. Saya couldn't stop staring at the ring. She was engaged. But congrats then, honestly. My heart is full knowing Koski could actually be bothered to ask your ring size and follow through with giving it to you. I know, right? Saya said nonchalantly, showing it off once more. Maybe the digital world could change life and the people who live them. I just really like this quote I wanted to share because, to be frank with everyone, I guess I do appreciate those slice of life little moments. I just really enjoy how Saya and Yolene are talking amongst one another. And yeah, it's obvious that Saya's excited that she got married, but I think it's cool how Yolene's saying such positive comments. In fact, something I really appreciate about most of these quotes is how it's coming from they being the writers could have easily just had Koski being lovey-dovey with Saya, but I love how we're getting essentially third parties talking about the relationship, and we'll see this with the other quotes too. So I will admit that this quote I don't think has too much to dig into, but I do like how it characterizes the relationship between the colleagues, between these, dare I say, friends. But yeah, so that's why I wanted to read this one. I also do like the ending though. Maybe the digital world could change lives and the people who live them. I think that's such a cool contrast to the way that it starts the quote. Perhaps it wasn't the world so much as her world that was changing. For all we know, because the narrator does make a point that Koski started changing his mannerisms shortly after he got engaged. Maybe it did have something to do with the digital world, right? Since they were having such breakout progress and advancements, it was able to allow Koski to maybe social mobility. In other words, maybe he didn't have money beforehand, but now he does, and he wants. Now he's able to formulate and plan out his life. We don't really know those details, but we'll come to that idea shortly with the other quotes. So moving forward, so this one's a bit of a longer one. Saya, Koski yelled, emerging from the factory at a trot. Hey there, lover boy, Yolene said with a smirk. Wow, right into the banter. Right into the banter. All right then, Koski said, looking at it all as offended as he sounded. He was too love-struck to care. Anyhow, how dare you steal my adorable Saya away from me? Yolene said, undeterred. He was suddenly shaving every day and wearing neck jackets, nice jackets. He was suddenly shaving every day and wearing nice jackets. Was she supposed to just let that go unremarked upon? Okay, I'm not some criminal. Anyway, look at this, Koski said proudly, taking up a helmet-like VR headset in his hands and sliding it onto Saya's head. What is this thing? The heck are you doing? Yolene spurted, adding to the chorus of confusion. I think we've done it. Look, Saya, what you're seeing is, yeah, I see stuff, but I can't tell what any of it is. What the heck is going on? Saya shrieked in utter confusion. Monochrome images danced before her eyes. It looked like a virtual recreation of what an insect would see through its compound eyes. But Saya had a feeling it wasn't a virtual recreation at all, that it was actually being filmed from some creature's viewpoint. That's the first footage ever taken through a Digimon's eyes. You're seeing through a Digimon's eyes right now. And then there's a page break after that line. So I was originally going to end the highlighted portion. I wanted to just quote the dialogue, but the reason why I decided to quote the portion about it's the first time that one was mind linked was, well, as I just said, it was the first time. The fact that it was successful and the fact that they're using headsets rather than just the linker straps, I think that's really cool. A nice detail to really show how the technology has advanced to allow EG and Leon to mind link. And then in addition to that, I do like the characterization that's added from the dialogue too. That banter between Yolene and Koski, I think it's really cute. I think it's really adorable. It really paints them as friends. And to be frank with everyone, I am really curious what's going to happen because if one has seen the trailer for Chapter 3, we know that Yolene is against Koski. We know that Koski is Tartarus, the Sons of Chaos, the leader of the Sons of Chaos, and the professor seems to be working against, well, maybe not working against him, right? Because the professor just wants EG to infiltrate these Sons of Chaos and discover what they're doing. So maybe the professor Stu has hope that Koski isn't evil per se, and there's still a chance to save him from whatever that made Koski become Tartarus. Yeah, so I just think it's really cute how Yolin's bantering with Koski, and how Koski, he's just taking it in stride. But he's pretending to be offended because they're friends, right? That's what friends do. I just really appreciate that characterization. Moving forward, the engineering and technological foundations already existed. Neurologists were well into studying how to convert the human consciousness and memories into data, specifically targeting the development of personal AI trained on that data. There were electronic devices that used sensors to directly modulate neurons, helping those who had lost their sight or hearing rebuild those nerve endings and motor functions. Those could be integrated into humanoid companion androids under development in the robotics sector. All of these disciplines were at their core investigating ways to build a human from scratch when taken together. That posed significant ethical hurdles, and the government regulated the space so tightly that none of these things would move beyond the research phase for 10, possibly even 20 years. The digital world, however, had no such ethical hurdles. It was all just a simulation after all, a world of bits and bytes. Therefore, the thinking went, it should be possible to use Digimon as a sort of VR camera. Not just any camera though, one that links the Digimon's 5 senses with that of a human. If Digimon were truly AI creatures, then their sensory data should be easy enough to capture and interpret. All that remained was to get a human consciousness into the digital world and link it to that sensory pipeline. In other words, to embed into it the digicore. This ought to keep me occupied for the rest of my life, Professor Ridgey has said with a laugh. The research would be anything but boring, that much was certain. Ryuji Electronics began exploring the fundamentals of mind-linking technology in secret. They had to minimize the risk and have answers for the ethical questions the technology presented, and they were to dispel the notion that it was impossible or some sort of occult practice. So pardon me, I know this is a long quote, but I really liked it because I think that this might be the first instance where we're seeing that the professor might possibly be, unethical. He might possibly be antagonistical, or in other words, acting quite villain-like in this instance. He's aware that there's ethical issues in trying to recreate a human consciousness, but he's also aware that those restrictions is not as imposed or as tight in the digital world, despite the fact, although one is not creating a whole new human being, we do need to keep in mind that when one mind links, it's the human being's consciousness. So, their livelihood, not their livelihood, but their sense of self, that's quite dangerous. I would argue even if one is not creating a new human per se, the fact that one is working with consciousness, that would also prove to have a lot of ethical burdens and hurdles. And it more than likely does, hence why this quote ends with the team keeping it a secret. I do like how it's mentioned that it's the team keeping it a secret. It doesn't seem like the professor encouraged or egged anyone to just keep this between themselves. I would argue it seems like everyone's aware this is something that they should only discuss amongst one another, not amongst third parties or people outside of the small group. And why? Well, because if people were aware, they'll more than likely try to shut down the research until, as it's stated at the end, until they're able to answer the ethical questions from the research that they're doing, right? So I just really like this quote because although I am Team Professor Ryuji, I am Team Professor. I really do like the character. Again, I think this is the first real piece of textual evidence that we could use to possibly paint the professor in a negative light. There's another quote that will also add to this as well. But again, that's not my perspective. I still do like the professor. I just really appreciate how this is setting up the dark corner that we're going to go into, right? Because obviously Saya is missing. Why is she missing? More than likely DMIA, right? So, continuing forward. DS level is dropping. Subject regaining consciousness, severing mind link, Koski said calmly. Yolin calmly approached the chair with the bucket and sheet in hand. Saya convulsed as she came to with a groan. She carefully reached her hands up as her legs kicked the chair repeatedly, as though her body was recollaborating and firing up her muscles. She sat up and removed the sensor helmet from her head. Here, Yolene said, holding out the bucket. I think I'm getting used to it, Saya croaked with some effort. She broke out in a smile. The first time she successfully mind-linked, she woke up covered in her own vomit, another exterior in front of her father, fiance, and closest friend. So this was definitely an improvement. So once again, I just have to really say kudos to the fact that this is in the written format, because I really do believe if this was in the anime or television format, we wouldn't be getting that description of how Saya was covered in her own vomit and other exterior. So with that possibly implies that she may have defecated herself or urinated upon herself as well. And I know it might seem weird that I'm a fan of that kind of detail, but I appreciate it because it really adds weight to the story. It really shows the audience how mind-linking, although it was successful for Leon and Iji, it had to be a process for it to be successful. It had to be a journey in order to edit and temper that mind-linking technology, so one is not having negative, physical reactions to it, right? Again, that a small detail, it's just one line, but that last line just adds so much weight for me to the story. It just makes the story feel much more impactful and have a little bit more weight than it wouldn't have if that line was not included. I have empathy for Saya, and the fact that she's choosing to go through these tests, it really shows how brave an individual she is. Really shows how committed and dedicated to research like her dad, right? Not the apple not falling too far from the tree. This does so much for Saya's character, and it makes me wonder, oh wow, what happened that Saya is no longer in the present storyline, and what's going to possibly happen that they being the team, they don't mind linking, right? It's not just Kyosuke who's mind linking with Duromon, but Yolene's mind linking with Ryudomon. So whatever had happened to Saya, it wasn't enough to deter the others from continuing to practice of mind linking. But yeah, moving forward, Professor Regency claps softly. Sufficient rest is required between mind linking sessions. There is significant risk of side effects, which cannot be overcome with time. Simply knowing that is possible renders the experiment a rousing success. The founding members, Professor Ruzinji, Yolene, Kosuke, and Saya, were the only ones in Test Chamber 4, which required a unique security pass to enter. The mind-linking project was top secret, and only they knew about it. Nice work, Agu, Saya said, picking up the Digimon dog connected to the helmet she now held under her arm. So, of course, Agumon had to make his appearance, right? So, I'm curious if this is Black Agumon. Later on, this display, it's right under it. The dock's display showed a pixelated representation of a Digimon on its small display, under which was written Agumon, right? So, it's not Black Agumon, it's Agumon. It makes me wonder if once Saya goes DMIA, maybe Agumon is affected also in some way. Hence, he goes from Agumon to Black Agumon. Again, I'm really looking forward to the discovery of exactly what happened to Saya and who exactly is Black Agumon. If one doesn't recall, Black Agumon was mentioned in the first parts of Chapter 1. Tartarus, the Sons of Chaos, seems to be looking for Black Agumon. There seems to be a 1 million Digicoin. I think it's called Digicoin, the currency used in the crypto universe. Reward for finding a Black Agumon. Yeah, also what I like about this line as well is the fact that it's re-emphasizing again the founding members were the only ones in Chess Chamber 4, which required a unique security pass to enter. We're really hammering in the fact that they're in this together. I'm not going to lie because I am biased because I do like the professor. For me, I just really enjoy that because I think it's proof that the professor is not going to be an antagonistical force, an antagonist. Whatever's going to occur, it's going to be by accident. But what I also like about it is how no one's agency is being removed. Everyone's in this together. And again, it makes me question whatever is going to happen to Saya. It's not enough to deter Yolene and Kosuke from mind linking anymore. I mean, Kosuke even created his own little group with mind linkers to accomplish whatever it is that he's trying to accomplish. And the next one is the last quote. Just by coincidence, it's the last paragraph as well. Professor Ryuzenji, in the meantime, chose 3 different Digimon he'd hatched from their Digitama and gave each one to his students to raise. They were constantly exchanging tips as they learned how to best care for the new charges. The biggest change came from Kosuke, who began living according to a more regular schedule than he ever had previously on account of the Digimon's need for regular care and feeding. Digimon were fragile creatures, after all. So right off the bat, let's focus on the superficial details first. I love how it's explained that Kosuke's change isn't so much from the fact that he's in love, right? Isn't really so much from the fact that he got engaged. For all we know, he maybe got engaged after the research, but let's pretend that he got engaged before all the research. His change of attitude is coming from necessity. It's coming from the fact that he needs to care about the Digimon. I like that because it makes Kosuke a unique individual. I don't think he likes to be dirty, but rather he's so invested in his research that he kind of just forgets to take care of himself. And I appreciate that. I know I keep saying that word appreciate, but it's just I think it's cool when individuals are able to be so focused on the work that it's less like work and more a passion. And then in addition to that, so let's dig a little bit deeper. So I do have a small complaint. I'm really hoping that the 3 Digimon that were hatched is not, well, obviously one of them is Agumon, but again, at the beginning of the story, a black Agumon is being searched for, so there may have been some change there, something had occurred. But I'm really hoping that the other 2 Digimon are not Ryudomon and Duromon, just because there's been this whole hullabaloo about the fact that they're prototype Digimon. The fact that Logomon seems to have been discovered or found. I'm hoping that even if it is Doromon and Ryudomon, I'm hoping we'll get some backstory that explains where the professor got those Digitama. Did he create them or did he discover them? Hopefully that makes sense. Well, I'm not a big fan of that, but yeah, hopefully we'll discover more about that as we continue forward. As of right now, though, if it's just that the professor hatched them and that's it, he didn't discover anything unique about the eggs, where they came from, or that makes Ryudomon and Duromon special. Again, I am going to be a little bit disappointed about that. But all in all, it's not enough to make me disappointed in Seekers overall. I am still really enjoying Digimon Seekers. I am really happy. Excuse me. I don't know if once caught that in camera, but I bumped my cat's head by accident. I'm still really happy that Bandai Namco went with this route for Digimon Seekers, the written format. Because we're able to get some great descriptors that I don't think will be present in the television format. So that's everything I wanted to discuss. Excuse me, if anyone has been leaving comments, I know it's been taking me a while to get back to that. It's not on purpose. It's been busy for me at work professionally, and I'm planning to reply back as soon as I'm done posting this video. I do thank you for your patience, especially if you're watching this, especially if you are engaging with me. I really do appreciate it. I don't take it for granted. It's just I don't mean to do it on purpose. So hopefully once I'm not taking it personally. Again, thank you. I hope you have a prodigious day. And take care, everyone. Really looking forward to when the story catches up to the modern present time. It seemed like that's going to be coming up fairly shortly. I could imagine maybe one more part. It wouldn't surprise me if the next part, if the one of the page breaks was going back to modern times. But again, we'll see what occurs as the parts come out. Until next week, take care, everyone, and have a prodigious day.